Hello, everyone, and welcome to ATL Falcons UK. This week, me and Cal are joined by Rich to co-host with us, and then the one and only Brian Finneran, at former Atlanta Falcons wide receiver. So, Brian, thank you for coming on. We'll let Cal get going with the questions. So we'll cover your early career, we'll cover a little bit about the Falcons, and then just see where it takes us, if that's all right.
That sounds good. Let's do it.
So I'll start off with obviously your early career at your college at Villanova. You actually got your number retired. So how did it come about? Like, how did you find out, and the feeling of it? Must be such a proud moment of it.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet. They have a thing called the Wall of Fame. I think if you have some records and have some success at Villanova and one of the top players, after 5 years after you're done playing, they put your name up on the Wall of Fame. So that was guys like Howie Long and Mike Siani and Bobby Brady and a handful of guys not a lot of people know about, because Villanova football wasn't Georgia, it wasn't Tennessee, it wasn't Texas. It was just our little 1AA football. And then I got a call about 15 years. Stayed in touch with the sports information director, Dean Kennefick, and he called me and he said, "Hey, they're going to retire your jersey." And I was like, "What?" I didn't even realize it was a thing. And it was pretty cool. Great moment. My family was there. My kids were there, wife and everything else. So I don't know. It's one of those deals where I had a couple great years at Villanova. I had a couple great football teams with my teammates and my twin brother, and was able to have some success. So it worked out pretty nicely for me.
That's what I was going to ask you, actually. It says that you only went to Villanova because they offered both yourself and your brother. Is that correct?
Yeah, Brad and I were kind of a package deal. So I had some lukewarm looks from Oregon and Oregon State. We got a walk-on offer from UCLA that didn't really mean much to us, and then we almost went to the Naval Academy on a basketball deal, and then we almost agreed to it, and then Villanova came knocking in late January and offered Brad and I both a scholarship. So once that happened, we were through the roof and excited about it. And again, our number one goal was to go to school, play some football, have some fun, and get an education. And the last thing in my mind was ever playing in the NFL. I can promise you that.
Well, it worked out pretty well for you. I mean, like you were saying about your college career, 265 receptions, 3,872 yards, and 34 touchdowns, if that website is right, is a very impressive college career, especially, like you said it's not Georgia or anything like that, but stats speak for themselves regardless of which college you go to. So it's still an unbelievable achievement.
Thank you. It was freshman year, broke a few records, had like 56 catches, and then got hurt my sophomore year, separated my shoulder a couple times. So I got like 30 catches. And then our junior and senior year, we got a new offensive coordinator that nobody really cares about, but his name was Dave Clausen, and he's the head coach at Wake Forest now and doing a great job over there, and changed the whole scheme, got us in 3 receiver sets, 2 backs, and we're able to really put pressure on defenses with our size and our speed outside, and just made a world of difference for me, obviously putting up some big numbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was there sibling rivalry between you and Brad?
Yeah, the sibling rivalry for sure. I mean, identical twin boys. You know, when I say identical, it was coaches had a tough time telling us apart. The only one that had a down pat, the only one that really knew, I think, was my mom. But I mean, we had a basketball hoop in the front yard, and we played out there all the time. We played catch. If it was raining, grew up in Southern California, and if it was raining, which it didn't do very often, for whatever reason, my mom had carpeted the garage floor. So me and my brothers would go out there and we'd play, we called it knee football or something. So we played football on our knees, tackling, full contact, running the ball, pitching the ball. So we always like contact. We always like competition. It was never like, some brothers will get super angry with each other and fight or throw down, or we always had a rule: there's no punching in the face ever.
Where the money is, where the money is.
Nothing above the shoulders, and then everything else was fair game. But we never had any big issues. We always had a kind of that. It was a clean competition, I guess you can call it. But yeah, we had some rivalries for sure.
I love it. Just moving on a little bit, you took a little bit of a different step in your career in the NFL originally. You went to NFL Europe with Barcelona Dragons, wasn't it? How did that come about compared to moving to the NFL?
So it's funny you ask. I went to Seattle as an undrafted free agent to play for the Seahawks in 1998, and I got cut after the preseason. I barely played. It was awesome, a great experience, but I was way over my head. I was 6'5", 200 pounds, dripping wet, and I needed to put on 10, 15 pounds of muscle before I could compete with those guys I was trying to compete against. And I went home, got a job. I was married with 2 kids at the time. I was living with my in-laws, working at a company that my dad was working at, and I'd go home and work out every day after work. And then one of the receiver coach at the Seattle Seahawks called me after they cut me, and he said, "Go play football somewhere. Whatever you got to do, find a way to get on the field, whether it's arena ball or Canada or NFL Europe, because he goes, you got what it takes. You just have to learn a few things, put some weight on, and you'll be fine." So I tried to do that. My agent and I put my name in the NFL Europe draft and also the Arena League. I think my rights got picked up by San Jose in their first pick that year. So we decided to go to Europe because you play real football. It's a normal field. There's no gimmicks. It's normal. And I was able to play and learn special teams and do some different things. So we did training camp in Orlando in early spring of '99, and then flew to Europe, flew to England, and then went over to Barcelona and spent the next 3.5, 4 months there playing football and playing in cities like we played in Berlin, Rhine, Frankfurt, Amsterdam, Scotland, and obviously at home in Spain, in Barcelona. So it was awesome. Great experience. Got a chance to travel the world a little bit. Family and kids came out and spent 3 months out there with us, and it was great. But I learned that, number one, I could play with kind of the backups in the league. I was third in the NFL Europe in yards and catches and touchdowns. So I built some confidence. I put on another 5 or 10 pounds of muscle, and built my confidence was the most important thing. So it was just great. And then when I came back, I signed with the Philadelphia Eagles and got a chance to make their roster as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think there's a gap that needs to be filled between college and the NFL? We've seen it obviously with yourself at Barcelona, being able to play. You see it with the XFL, and you see some of the XFL players coming into the NFL now. Young Waiku's, I think, is a prime example. Do you think that pathway is missing and needs to be expanded?
No question. If NFL Europe wasn't there for me, I'd probably not playing football for 12 years in the NFL. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. It's a minor league football system, and it's needed big time. Every year, you have these young guys, juniors. I think they're good enough to come out and get drafted in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, and then they get cut a year or two later, or that year. So you think about it, guys. You got 90 guys on an NFL roster for preseason and training camp, and you got to whittle that down to 53, and then you get to keep 10 more. So you're talking about 63, 65 guys by the time you guys on IR. So at a minimum, you got 20 times 32. So you got 600 plus dudes at a minimum that have just lost their hopes and dreams of playing in the NFL. And some of them were good enough, but the opportunity wasn't given to them. They didn't get enough play time on the field. They had 2 studs in front of them. Whatever it might have been, it happens all the time. Happened to me. Yeah. So there's definitely the void that needs to be filled, Rich, when you talk about that minor league system. You guys just kind of learn something. Learn how to play special teams. Learn how to play in the NFL. Put on 10 pounds of muscle, and get an opportunity to play. And they've tried it a million times over here with XFL. Done it twice now. The Alliance of American Football. What's his name? Johnny Manziel just started playing in a 7-on-7 arena football thing called fan-controlled football. I don't know if you've seen this crazy stuff, but it is. They had games this weekend. It's nuts. Guys are trying to play and get back in the league, and there's definitely a void. There's something missing.
Just going back to that game, the clips that have been going about, it was an absolutely insane little bit of footage. There was Manziel, and there was about 5 people hanging off players. It was mental. It was great. It's great to watch, but like you said, it'd be a great transition going from that to the league. So definitely, it's crazy.
So I was fortunate. Sorry to cut you off. When I went to the Philadelphia Eagles after Europe. I was fortunate to make that team. John Harbaugh was our special teams coordinator at the time. He's the head coach in Baltimore now. And he was relying on me to be their special teams kind of, not ace, but a core special teamer where I could play on punt return, kickoff, and kickoff return. We call those guys core special teamers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And those are guys who hope can be third, fourth down receivers, backup linebackers, backup running backs. Guys that kind of just love playing football and love being on the field, but also have some speed and some size and can tackle and cover kicks. Unfortunately, I had a tough time learning it in the league. Brian Dawkins, Hall of Fame safety for the Eagles, tried to teach me how to do it. It just and a lot of times in the NFL, you don't got time to practice. It's live bullets, and if you mess up, you're getting a kick blocked and big return given up. So. And then I had an unfortunate drop in the first or second week of the season with the Eagles. And next thing you know, 5 weeks later, I'm on the unemployment line once again, trying to find a job and bouncing around. So it wasn't always fame and fortune for me until 8 weeks later, the Falcons put me on their practice squad. And next thing you know, I spent the next 11 years with the Falcons. So there's a lot of in-between stuff there, but it was bumpy road at first for sure.
I think that's probably where Carl was going to go next.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, obviously, when you got the call from the Falcons, how did that make you feel? Because, obviously, you've been at the Eagles a bit before. Was it like, it's like, did you think it was like coming to your last chance? You think, this is my time to then put it out there again and then prove it. And, obviously, 11 years later, you definitely did it.
Yeah, man, no doubt. Getting that call, I had workouts with Jacksonville.
Oh, have we frozen, or is it just me?
I think Brian might have frozen a little bit there.
I'll take him out a second, drop him back in it. You're back. There we go.
All right. Sorry about that. When the Falcons called, I was ecstatic. I just needed another opportunity, another chance. And even though it was a practice squad gig where I think they were paying us, the word's not peanuts, but it was a lot less than everybody else was getting. But it was only for 3 weeks, and I impressed enough guys on the practice squad. You're just there practicing. I'm running around. You're getting hit a little bit. You're just trying to pretend you're the best receiver on the other guy's team and working with the backup quarterbacks and flying around and trying to make plays, do everything right, and did okay. And then when we drove back home to South Jersey where we were living after the season was over, and they called my agent and they wanted to sign me to a 1-year deal. And I was like, all right, let's go, just baby steps and trying to get your foot in the door. And it felt like there was a roster and a depth chart that I could make the team, and I was fortunate to do that. So I signed again the next year, and really my goal, and it should be every receiver's goal when you get on a new team, is you try to make nice with the quarterbacks as much as you can, so they throw you the ball and feed you. And for me, Chris Chandler was my quarterback at the time. Yeah. Unbelievable talent, underrated in my opinion. Took that team to the Super Bowl 2 years prior, and special thrower of the football. So, and then it was the backups, and there was Tony Graziani and Danny Cannell, because those are the guys I was going to be playing with in the preseason. and I had to impress some people. And I think in the preseason one year I had 16 catches, 200 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, it was great. And then I started getting noticed and started clicking. Another 1 year, signed another 1 year deal after that, another 1 year deal after that, 3 year deal after that, and then a 4 year deal after that. And then I tore my knee up real bad in 06 and 07 and finished up 3 more years with Matt Ryan, who became one of my good friends as well. So it was just an unbelievable run, and never would have thought I would have made it that far.
It wasn't just any old coach that you impressed either, was it? I mean, Dan Reeves is a tough coach to impress. So that must have just given you sort of one hell of a lift, the confidence just to know that someone like him actually rates you.
No question. And that was my biggest problem in Seattle, and even a little bit in Philadelphia, was that lack of confidence. I needed to have a few wins, and being on the practice squad, playing with Chris Chandler the following year, Dan Reeves kind of believing in me and putting me in situations for me to win, and then winning on the football field was huge. So big time confidence boost. And then Dan Reeves was a tough cookie. There was a respect factor there for Dan. I still have a tough time calling him Dan today. Like in the NFL, we call our head coaches a lot of times by their first names. We're all grown men and we kind of get it. But Dan Reeves was one of the few that I had a tough time calling him Dan until years later when I was done playing with him, playing for him. So I played 3 or 4 years with Dan when I called him Coach Reeves all the time. And the level of respect for a guy like that played the game at a high level, the Cowboys, and coached and grinded through it was just awesome. And I feel like because Dan Reeves wasn't like a superstar in his day and age, but he was one of those grinders that played all the time, loved the game. And I feel like a lot of the guys I played for, Mike Mularkey was our offensive coordinator here for a while. We kind of had the same MO where Mularkey was an overachieving tight end in the NFL for a handful of years, where we just kind of related, and they knew they can count on me to do some of the grunt work and do that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, Dan was great. One of my favorites for sure.
Whilst you were at the Falcons, you had a couple. Well, you had obviously an unbelievable career in general, but your 2001 and 2002 seasons in particular, in terms of your yards and your touchdowns and everything, were stunning, really, for the role that you were playing, obviously, in that kind of team. Was there anything about those years in particular that you felt made you perform to that level, or was it purely yourself?
It's a good. Yeah, I think it's a little bit of everything. I think it was a lot of me, but it was system and being counted on. You know, Dan, Coach Reeves had me. I was really our go-to third down guy. Me, myself, and Algie Crumpler were Michael Vick's kind of go-to guys. So when we ran some of those plays, I think everybody in the world knew where the ball was going, but you just somehow, some way, you find a way to get open. You use your big body and make tough catches and move the chains. So there's a lot that goes into having success at the receiver position. Your ability to catch the ball, get open, use your body and size. And people were kind of excited about my catch radius, which is, I didn't even know what the hell this term meant until somebody started saying it to me. But your catch radius is kind of like where your arms can reach. Long arms, big body. It's like Travis Kelce today.
Yes.
Julio Jones for that matter. Guys with long arms, big bodies, where the quarterback can throw it, within 3 or 4 yards of the guy, and there's a good chance I'm gonna come down with it. So all of it came through. And then Michael Vick and I had a great relationship in 02 and 03 and 04 when we were doing some good things.
Yeah.
On the field, we knew where each other were going to be. We could count on each other. And so it just kind of all came together.
Yeah, that was a question I was going to sort of go into, because obviously you played with 3 quarterbacks quite a lot, obviously. Vick, Chandler, and then a young Matty Ice. Did you have to transition yourself through it, change certain things when obviously the new quarterback came in?
It's interesting, yeah. As a receiver, and I was thinking about this the other day, when you're a receiver in the NFL, you either, in my opinion, you either got it or you don't. You gotta be able to run routes, which you can work on running routes, kind of getting out of your break quickness or whatever. But you either know how to run routes well or you don't. You have a fluidity to your routes, in and out of your breaks, and not giving anything away. And then you catch the football. I mean, some guys fight catching the football. I was more of a natural catcher where I didn't, and I'm not trying to brag on myself, but I didn't catching the football. And goes back to what Rich was talking about earlier. Brad, my twin brother, and I, growing up playing catch every day for a million, days, going back and forth. We just became these natural kind of catchers with our hands, and athleticism kind of kicks in. With that said, it was just playing with different guys. I think it's part of the reason I had success with each of them, because it didn't matter to me. When the ball was around me, I tried to snatch it, and obviously I had a few drops I wish I would have had back, but for the most part, I caught the balls that were catchable. And Chris Chandler was phenomenal. He made catching the football so easy. It's almost like, so when I played with Chandler for a full season as a third or fourth down guy, third or fourth receiver, I should say, I had 23 catches, averaged 21.3 yards per catch, and had 3 touchdowns. I mean, that was the numbers I put up with Chandler were ridiculous. It was a small taste of what we were capable of, but where he threw the ball, where it went, in stride, he threw balls that just felt like just dropped right in your hands. So he was special. And then totally different with Michael Vick. Obviously, Vick was raw, uber talented and gifted, super strong arm. Early in his career, he lacked that touch that you really wanted as a receiver. But Algie and I really tried to, you just try to catch the football as much as you possibly could. Vick gave us a chance to make Sports Center type catches, scramble drill type catches, where he gets in trouble, scrambles around in the backfield, and throws it 70 yards down the field, and there you are making a jump ball catch. And he was a lot of fun to play with, and probably kept me in the league a long time, because a lot of guys had a tough time catching Mike's ball from time to time. And then Matt Ryan, the only thing I regret about Matt Ryan and playing with him for 3 years, Rich and Cal, was like I was 32 years old and with 2 bad knees, and I just love Matt, love what he was capable of, and I was lucky to get 3 years with him. Watch him run an offense and a team, and the leadership level just kept growing with him day in and day out and year after year. And you've seen that the last 13 years, which is crazy. So I'm fortunate I got to do at least 3 years, but same thing with Matt. Timing was on point, soft catchable footballs, fun to play with, and super smart at the line of scrimmage.
Well, I was gonna say that you said it was a joy sort of playing with Michael Vick and what have you at the beginning. It was also a joy watching it. I know that some of the seasons weren't great, but just watching the whole thing. I'm old enough to remember back in the 90s and the 2000s, and we didn't have great seasons, but it was still fun to watch. And I think that's missing from some games nowadays. I think is the fun factor.
Yeah,
I don't know if you agree or not, but
no, I mean, when you had a guy like Michael Vick, you were literally on Sports Center. Your whole team was every single week because you did something spectacular in the backfield. Or we led the league in rushing, I think 2 or 3 straight years in a row with Vick and Warwick Dunn, TJ Duckett, and guys like that, where the offense was built around running the football. I mean, we weren't a big passing offense, which is not great for a receiver like me trying to get paid and trying to get a contract, but it is what it is. I probably played as long as I did because I was a big body. I wasn't afraid to block guys downfield, and then I was able to catch passes from Mike. So there is an excitement factor that's probably missing, Rich. You're probably right. And we had a few good years with Mike, with obviously the two playoff runs, if I'm not mistaken, and it was as fun as it gets. He was one of the better competitors on the football field. I mean, it's well documented. He probably wishes he studied more early in his career in Atlanta, and you saw that when he got back to Philadelphia with Andy Reid and started learning some different things after he had his little hiccup and went to prison for a couple of years and totally redeemed himself on the football field. It's a special redemption story for him, but the way it's such a tough position to play, and the excitement, athleticism he brought to the table. I mean, he was obviously Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson. He was guys like that. I think that's a perfect example because you saw Lamar did. I think it was a postseason game. He made somebody miss and had that like 28-yard touchdown scamper. It was just special football by those guys.
Yeah. I think you've just got it down to a T there, really, because even nowadays there's still a debate about who's superior, Vick or Matty Ryan, but they're so different. Like Vick probably gets you off your seat more because he pulls things out of the bag that nobody else at the time was trying, and even now half of them wouldn't try it. But Matty's just so precise and like so on point with everything that he's not as like off your seat, but it's still so satisfying to watch. So satisfying.
Yeah, and I think winning football is what's exciting too, guys. When you think about when you enjoy it, we're winning. I mean, last year was miserable. I mean, the dumbest mistakes, the silly, unforced errors, and to see guys like Matt Ryan and Julio Jones have to sit through that nonsense. You're talking about Hall of Famers, in my opinion, that just got years wasted because you kept a coach around that probably should have been let go a couple years ago, and a general manager, in my opinion, too, that unfortunately didn't make the right moves and couldn't quite solidify the offensive and defensive lines as much as he wanted him to. So you just got to hope for the best. But Mike Smith, that was fun football, winning 5 straight years in a row, and Matt Ryan at home, and Tony Gonzalez and Julio Jones towards the end, and Roddy White, and defense that flew around that was underrated. So I don't know. Fun football is winning football, I think.
I think you're. I wouldn't want to say lucky in a way, but did you get one of the letters from Bobby Petrino?
I did.
I know you were on injured reserve, weren't you, that year?
Yes. Thank God I was.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to say that really, but you think you had a bit of an escape, really? Sorry, my dog's gone mad. From being on the IR for the season, do you think you had a little bit of an escape? And do you think that probably helped you, that you didn't have to play in that team? I mean, let's face it, he was left in a situation with no quarterback. But
yeah. No, it was brutal.
Did you think you?
I didn't think it was. I don't know how much I benefited from it. I would have liked to have been playing. I mean, that was the second year in a row I was out with a knee injury. I tore my knee up in 2006 real bad, and then I tore it up again in 2007 when the cadaver ligament they put in my right ACL just disintegrated on me. So I had to go through the whole rehab process again. I did get a bit of an escape, and maybe the good thing was I was so sick of being around that environment and rehabbing again, and Petrino didn't help the situation, that I called a radio station here locally that I work with now that I had a relationship with on 680 The Fan, and I said, you got a gig for me? I can't just rehab again. I'm going to drive myself crazy. So they let me come in like Monday, Thursday, Friday, 3 days a week for like 3 hours a day, and got a chance to work on that craft in case I wanted to do something after football was over. And lo and behold, 4 years after that experience, I started my radio career that's gone on for 10 years now. So fortunate to be on IR, not necessarily, but I took advantage of it for sure. Rested my body, got back in shape, and then worked on my resume for when football was over.
Like you just said then, it's definitely paid off for you now, because that's what you've been doing since, whereas a lot of people wouldn't have been that proactive and prepared for it. They would have just gone, I'll just get on with my rehab and just suffer whilst I'm suffering. But you went out there and now look, just as famous for that probably as for the younger fans, to be honest with you.
It's funny you say that, Danny. I guarantee you more people today probably know me or recognize me from a radio station than they did playing football, starting 20 years ago. It's been a long time since I played, dude. It's been 10 years.
Well, one thing that links in pretty well, actually. One thing I did want to mention is, I don't know if you play them or not, but you're on a lot of the Madden games. You're on Madden 25 anniversary, Madden 16, and then this year as well. How did that come about? Do you get confronted about that? Do you get conversation?
Oh, yeah. So when you sign your deal in the NFL, part of your contract, I believe, is letting your name, image, and likeness go to Madden and PlayStation, whatever else it's on, whatever Xbox, whatever console you want to play on. So it goes back to what Rich was talking about, exciting football. So from 2002, 3, 4, and 5, everybody in the entire world that had Madden in those years started gravitating towards Michael Vick and the Atlanta Falcons, because Michael Vick was like a superstar in the game where everybody wanted to play with the Falcons. So, as you said earlier, in that 2002 or 3 year when I had, and then 4, I had 56 catches one year, 50 another year, handful of touchdowns those years as well. Before you know it, everybody's playing with Michael Vick and the Falcons, and I reaped the rewards of it. And then it started I started getting more and more involved in the game, and people started recognizing me, catching passes and scoring touchdowns and everything else. I think my rating went up to 99 at one point, which is ridiculous. So it was fun. That's how it all started. Everybody wanted to play with Michael Vick on Madden, and I was his receiver, so it worked out great.
I had to ask that. I play a bit of Madden myself, so I had to. There was no way I could avoid that. A bit of background noise there, Rich, at the minute.
Sorry, the wife's just come in, and the 5-year-old is all excited. So apologies.
Get your house under control, Rich, for God's sake.
It's chaos in here at times, believe me.
Dogs, kids, women.
If we obviously throughout your career, was there one moment? There's obviously quite a lot of moments you mentioned. Was there one moment it was like sort of your favourite moment, even if it was something you only know about, or something you start, something in college, or something near the end? Was it just one moment where that was your best moment ever?
Good question. I always go back to my first touchdown in the NFL. It was was it 02 maybe? Probably 2000. No, 2001, I guess. And Chris Chandler is the quarterback, and we got a call at the line of scrimmage, and we see a blitz coming. I mean, all-out blitz, cover 0. Everybody's going to blitz. And Chandler looks over to me. I'm by myself on the left side of the formation, and he kind of gives me like a hitch sign, like a married hitched. Gives me the ring finger, and we had not really talked about it. I just knew he said he wanted me to run a hitch. I saw the blitz coming. He wanted me to change my route, so I did. He gets a snap. He drops back 3 or 5 steps, and I run like a 8-yard hitch. And he throws it high and outside towards the sideline. And this goes back to that catch radius. I kind of reach up, catch it high and outside. The DB took a terrible angle. This is against the 49ers. And about 3 or 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And I caught it and went down the left sideline for a 47-yard touchdown and was able to do my first touchdown celebration. You know, in college, you always want to do something, but you're never allowed to. So I ran to the goalpost and dunked the ball on the goalpost, and the crowd went crazy, and it was so much fun. And it was so funny because there was a guy on the 49ers roster that was on the sideline on the inactive, and his name was oh my God, I'm gonna forget it. Jimmy. Oh, that's ridiculous. I'll get it before we get out of here. Yeah, all the concussions I had playing. So Jimmy looks at Terrell Owens, and Terrell Owens, and they announced Brian Finneran with the touchdown in the Georgia Dome. And Terrell Owens looks at Jim, and he goes, "Who the hell is Brian Finneran?" So it was because I played with Jimmy a couple years later, and that's probably my favorite moment. I scored a touchdown from Chandler, diving slant route in the end zone in Green Bay at Lambeau Field, which was pretty sick. That was one of my favorite places to play. Just the history there and everything that goes into it. The playoff games that we were in, going to Green Bay and winning, playing at home against the Rams and beating the brakes off of them. There was just always something about playoff games. Your heart just beat a little bit faster to start the game, and the energy and excitement is through the roof. It's just such an awesome experience. That's why I was so bummed I never got a chance to get to the Super Bowl, because that environment is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. You got anything, Rich?
No, I was going to ask him about the when you tried to spike the ball in the end zone.
Somebody did ask us.
That was embarrassing as hell. So that's probably one of my most embarrassing moments. So, God, I don't remember who were we playing. You remember seeing who we played in that game? I can't envision who it was. So I'm on the field, and late in my career, and Matt Ryan throws a kind of back of the end zone line drive shot to me, I'd jump up and catch it and land on my feet and start jumping around and celebrating. And I think it's Harry Douglas and Roddy White and Michael Jenkins all get ready to come surround me. And I spike the football. And as soon as I go to spike it, it slips right out of my hand. And my arm keeps coming forward. If you go back and watch it, Michael Jenkins starts laughing so hard. He almost couldn't come over and celebrate. So that was that was probably one of my more embarrassing moments, along with a couple of drops that I had in my career. But hey, listen, it's you're gonna have moments like that. If you have enough catches, you're gonna have some stuff happen every now and then.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's a good question on screen if you want to take that one.
Sure. Would I ever want to go back to the NFL and coach? You know what? I've thought about it. I went up to Tennessee and met with Mike Mularkey and Terry Rabisky, who are my coaches here in Atlanta. And then when they left, they went to Tennessee. And I met with them to see what the vibe was going to be like and feel like. It is an absolute grind. With my kids right now are almost all out of high school. And I think once that happens, I may entertain the idea of it. But I'm super happy on the radio right now. I enjoy doing what I'm doing. We got a good product at 680 The Fan, and it's been great. So, but I do miss coaching. I coached all my boys and my daughter in sports, but specifically my boys playing football. And there's nothing better as a coach than to watch your team grow and improve and watch specific players become better football players because of the things you taught them, and to watch them and the life lessons you learn in sports, as you guys know, is just phenomenal. Whatever sport you're playing, teamwork, discipline, and everything else that goes into it is special. So yeah, I think one day I could go coach. I don't know how soon it will be though.
Well, we'll see you in the Falcons in about 5-10 years or something then.
There you go. There you go. I gotta get. That was it was interesting because I met with when the Falcons cut me. I went back. They cut me in. They didn't cut me. I didn't have any years left on my deal. In 2010 was my last season. Green Bay Packers. They beat us in the playoffs in the Georgia Dome in January of 2011. That was my last game. And I think it might have been February. Coach Smith and Thomas Dimitrov brought me into the office, and they said, we're going to go in a different direction. And get this, they wanted to get younger, faster, and better, and they ended up drafting Julio Jones. So I think they made a pretty good upgrade there. Anyway, I was old. I was 34, 35 years old at the time. And again, 2 bad knees. And my career was pretty much over. You always feel like as an NFL player and a competitor, you can do it one more year. I got one more year in me. But I didn't need it. I had one workout that year. I tried to play. I had one workout with the 49ers. Jim Harbaugh was their head coach. It was in November. The doctor, you go through the what's the word I'm looking for? When you get your physical. And the doctor for the 49ers looking at my knee, and he's like, oh, it's pretty grindy in there, Brian. I was like, don't worry. I'm trying to like Jedi mind trick him. I'm like, don't worry about that knee, doctor. I'm just trying to play like 3 more games, dude. Please don't get carried away. Yeah. So it didn't work out. I didn't get picked up, and then I retired and shut down for good. But it was an unbelievable run and really loved playing the game.
I'm going to say you have an unbelievable career to show for it. So even though obviously all good things have to come to an end at some point, I suppose, don't they? And
yeah, thank you. How did you guys get connected with the Falcons? That's what I got to figure out.
Go on,
Vicky, you might as well start this one.
Me. Yeah, I was on the oldest. Mine started back in sort of the mid '80s when. His name just completely escaped me. Mick Luckhurst
kicker?
Was the kicker for the Falcons, the first British player to score an NFL touchdown. He just retired from the Falcons and he was doing an NFL program in the UK, which is when NFL really started over here. And I just sort of took an interest in his career, and then purely by luck, my neighbour came out of the house wearing an Atlanta Falcons jersey. So it just seemed to be coincidence, but it was intertwined, and since then it's unfortunately been the Falcons through thin times and even more thinner times. But I've watched some unbelievable players. I've seen some horrendous times, but listen, I wouldn't change it any other way.
That's awesome.
And I think the social media side of things nowadays is really sort of taken off over here, and Falcons is starting to get a real big following over here.
Absolutely. Our mine and Cal's story is not quite as glamorous as that, unfortunately. So we're pretty new to the NFL, literally only a handful of years. And we had no association to any team really, or any place or any location. So we kind of just lucky dipped. We didn't even do a years of research. We literally just kind of lucky dipped. Went for a team where we had a few players that we liked, a nice stadium, nice style of play and things like that. And now we've fallen here, and this is it. We're stuck here forever now. So wouldn't change it.
That's hilarious. Who are the guys that jumped out at you?
We've had 3 losing seasons so far, so hopefully there's a winning one on the way.
Yeah, you guys are the problem. What the hell?
Yeah,
well, hopefully, that's right. Rich started it back in the 80s. Hopefully, with the new coaching staff, and I think they just needed a new culture. He just got a little soft, in my opinion. Dan Quinn was a nice enough guy, but between the slogans and everything else that was going on, and the miscommunication in the defensive backfield, and silly plays that took place, it's just I'm excited about Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot, and hopefully you guys get to see some winning football here before too long. God, I feel bad for you.
I'd take a season that's better. Last season, my expectations were pretty high. I wanted about a 10-6 or something, give or take. Yeah. I'd take pretty much a half and half split this time. Well, there's 17 games this year, isn't there? But I'd take a pretty much half and half split. I just want an improvement on last year to start with. But new culture's spot on. I think the mentality needs a bit of a boost. Like there was a lot of people say like a bit of a Super Bowl hangover still all these years later. So I think we need to get out of that, complete fresh start under Smith and Fontenot, and hopefully that's the start of a bit more positivity for us. Yeah,
it'll be a fun off season and an interesting year, especially the draft pick. Do we pick Matt Ryan's guy comes in after him, or do we just try to build this football team and make it better? So we'll see what happens.
I think that was what Cal. You've just lined Cal right up there, to be honest. So
yeah, I think I'm gonna ask your opinions. I think as a UK fan base, we got like a group chat and that, and I think a lot of people are on Matt Ryan is still good enough for 2, 3, 4 more seasons if he has the right people around him. If he has a new coach, and that's what's came in. So I think a lot of us are, because also we all know what the cap space is like as well, and the team. The team isn't a 4-12 team. I think a lot of people need to realise that, and a lot of people do realise it. So I think for me, I wouldn't be picking a quarterback, especially in round 1. If you see one later round, you can build behind. Matt Ryan's one of the best pros in the game. Who else could you learn best behind? But it's like we can still win now. I'm not saying we will, but our team is still quite good. We have Julio Jones, we have Ridley, who's insane, absolutely insane. So I think a lot of us are the same opinion of, look at the defense. That it wasn't great, but there's players on it that are still with a new coaching scheme which can take off.
Yeah,
for me. I think it'll all help. And I've been torn because initially, when you think about the 4th pick in the draft, your plan number 1 is never to be back inside the top 10 like that, right? Yeah. So, but we have another chance to get a stud like people think Justin Fields might be. I'm starting to lean more and more towards your way, Cal, where this team has enough good pieces around it, and we got enough good players and a new staff in place and a different culture where I feel like if you can move back and get some extra picks in the 2nd and 3rd rounds and another first next year, I mean, you're talking about building that thing and building it the right way. And if you do it the right way, you can find 3 or 4 guys that can come in and fill some voids and help you win some football games. And like you said, this is a 4-12 team that had a point differential like 18, which is unheard of. In every game, 4th quarter blown leads again. You got blown out a couple times, but you're in a lot of them. It was super frustrating season, especially early on.
Yeah.
I mean, I was of the opinion that the Super Bowl season, we just absolutely hammered teams by scoring just touchdown after touchdown, point after point. And I'm of the opinion that just keep Matt upright and we'll win games. It's as simple as that, because we'll just, with the players that we've got on the offense, we'll score points for fun. And I think if we can get someone just to keep Matt upright, to get the ball out of his hands, I think that's the way we should go. That's my personal opinion.
No, I agree. I think that's par for the course for, half the quarterbacks in the league. If you can protect them, they're going to be good football players. It's like 120 plus sacks on Matt the last 3 years, which has been totally ridiculous. So I don't know. I guess they've spent the draft capital on those young guys on the O-line. So a couple guys are going in their third season. You got a young guy and Matt Hennessy trying to take over for Alex Mack, and hope to God that works out. And maybe you draft one more guy and the whole offensive line looks good. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Do you see them keeping Hennessy, or do you see them getting a veteran in if Alex Mack doesn't stay?
It's like what Cal just said, or I can't remember if it was Cal or Danny, but that salary cap issue is going to be a big problem as far as free agency is concerned. So I think Hennessy is your guy. I think he puts on 10 pounds of muscle and learned to play the position the last couple of weeks of the season last year. And then you get a whole off season being Matt's center. You learn what Matt likes. You learn how to play the game the right way, and go watch film on Alex Mack from 2014, 15, and 16, and you think he'll be all right. So you got to hope and pray that Matt Hennessy's our guy. I mean, what was he? Is he a second-round pick or something from out of BC again? Third
round, I think he was.
Yeah. So you don't cut many of those guys very often.
I did read a stat, though, that he only allowed 4 pressures playing the centre last year.
That's good. Yeah.
So I think it was 4% of all the snaps, is only 4% he allowed pressure. He actually, his average was higher when he was playing as the guard.
Yeah.
So I don't think his play was as bad as what he's rough.
I didn't see too many times where he was on his back or bad snaps to Matt or confusion in the run game. So I think it's technique, and he'll be all right. I'm counting on him being a good football player for us.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a couple of questions in the comments if you want to take a look at them. So what we got first up. These are completely random now, a little bit off topic, but
no problem. You want me to go for it?
Yeah, go.
Toughest DB. I'll give you a couple. You guys probably won't even know half of them. Maybe Rich will know them, but I'm not playing so long, guys. You guys write these guys' names down for God's sakes. I played with the guy, and now it's going to slip my mind. But I played against Bobby Taylor and in Philadelphia when I was there, and then the guy, he's ahead of the NFL. Anyway, Al Harris. Look up Al Harris. Al Harris played for the Eagles when I was in Philadelphia. He was their nickel back, and then he got a big deal with Green Bay. And there was a game we played him in Green Bay where that son of a gun followed me around the field the entire game. This was when I was like Vick's #1 receiver. And he was super feisty and athletic and fast and quick. And he had like these meat hooks for hands, or just once he got them on you, to get loose. He was tough to deal with. And he played me bump and run, man to man, the entire game. And it was one of those guys that frustrates you quite a bit. There was a guy in Baltimore that gave me a tough time as well. Chris McAllister, maybe. Another big, long, athletic DB. So those are the guys, the little guys that I played against, 5'10" and lower, 5'11" and lower, smaller. I could muscle them a little bit. I could club them. I could rip them. I could body them up, and then I could beat them on the jump ball as well. So those guys never gave me that hard of a time, but it was the bigger, longer, tougher defensive backs that kind of baby. And then I got to go against Ray Buchanan and Ashley Ambrose here with the Falcons. D'Angelo Hall was a stud time here in Atlanta. So those are some of the guys. And it makes a difference when you go against good guys in practice too. You become a better football player.
Yeah, absolutely. One more question in the comments. There we go. What was it like to win the Walter Payton Award?
So there's 2 Walter Payton awards that I won. One of them sitting over here. One of them sitting over here in the house. I'll go grab it in a second and show it to you. So NFL has a Man of the Year every year. And I don't know if that's what they're referring to or not. So every team picks one player to be their Walter Payton Man of the Year, and then you go to an event, and one of those guys gets picked to be the Walter Payton Man of the Year for the entire NFL. So I represented the Atlanta Falcons, I think in 2009. Really special to be mentioned in the same breath as Walter Payton, who not only did great things in the community, but was a stud on the football field. And that's what that award's all about: what you do on the field, the leadership you show, but also what you're doing off the field. Then the other one, I'll walk over and grab it, and you can say hi to Walter. But Walter Payton Award is, it's almost like the Heisman for 1AA football. So the Heisman Trophy, it goes to the best offensive player above the television.
No,
So my game ball, I don't know if you can see him, but so with it from Jersey. No, my game balls are up top, and then it goes over there. But my wife put that.
A lot of memorabilia.
It's like a little locker room. So here's the Walter Payton Award that I won in college, and you can see on there. I think it goes to the best offensive player in 1AA. And he got his bust. So I showed this to my teammates on the radio show one time, and they're like, "That doesn't look anything like you, Finn." I was like, "No shit." It's Walter Payton, you numbnuts. So, but that was cool, and that was winning that. I was at Villanova, like you guys said. I had 96 catches and 19 touchdowns, and we were number 1 in the country, and we had a really good football team, and I was fortunate to benefit from a great system, a good quarterback, and some good players around me. But it was awesome.
Absolutely.
How do you think you'd sorry, Danny, I didn't mean to interrupt you. How do you think you'd fare in football today?
If I was younger?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm 25 trying to play in today's football,
I think I'd be interested.
I would I think I'd probably be even a little bit better than I was when I was playing back then, only because I don't know. I think a lot of it depends on the system you play in, and a lot of now and more and more these days, you see 11 personnel. So 11 personnel is where you have 3 receivers, 1 tight end, and 1 running back on the football field, as opposed to what we ran a lot with Vick and Dan Reeves. We ran like 12 or 22 or 21, which is 2 receivers, a fullback, or 2 tight ends and a fullback and a running back. So I think with the amount of personnel changes and kind of morphed into more of a passing game now, gotten away from heavy run. I think almost every team in the NFL is, except for a handful of ones you can rattle off. It's Baltimore, Tennessee, right? And everybody else is heavy run to pass to run. So I think I would have fared well. I just love being on the football field. It's 6'5", 215 when I was in my prime. I was a load to deal with, and I love playing special teams. I was a punt returner, but I would have mixed it up pretty good with these guys. And but I do say this, Rich, being away from it now for 10 years and going to a game and stand on the sidelines, I mean, you stop and scratch your head and go, what the hell was I doing out there with these monsters? Because they're so big and fast and strong, dude. It's just every year you see bigger, faster, stronger. It really is amazing the athletes that these guys are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. He's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
What did
I say? Was it me?
If there was another position you would have played or wanted to play or did play, obviously high school, what was it?
It's so funny. So my dad wanted either me or my twin brother Brad to be a quarterback, right? My mom really didn't want us. We weren't allowed to play football until our freshman year in high school. So we played flag football in junior high when we were about 12 or 13. But we played baseball, soccer. Played soccer for 10 years. Played baseball for 12. Played basketball forever. I didn't play football. Didn't play football until our freshman year. So you just kind of get into it and learn and see where that leads you. But just enjoyed playing it and was fortunate enough to get out there and make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
I mean, unless anyone else has got any more questions, I've run, my list has gone now, and it was like a scroll at the start. So
how about what a bummer it was this year that we couldn't go? We think we were supposed to go to England this year and play, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So did you guys get tickets already, or what happened with that?
The tickets never actually ended up coming out, did they? I
Right.
don't think.
No, it was before. It got announced in April, I think.
We were definitely going. We went the year before to a couple of games, even though it wasn't the Falcons. So we were 100% going. But you never know. Touch wood, we might this year if we're lucky, but it's probably a little bit optimistic, to be completely honest with you. But and we do want to come over to Atlanta at some point in the next couple of years as well, so we can actually experience it ourselves.
Yeah, you'll love it. That new stadium is ridiculous, dude. And
awesome.
Once you get inside of it, it just takes you, and you get there early. You have access to every part of the stadium, so you can go all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom. Every bar, every food, every concession, every TV. It's pretty sick. So you have to let me know when you guys make it in town.
Oh, absolutely.
And for someone as wide as me, the concession halls are all quite cheap as well, aren't they? So that's a bit of a bonus.
Funny.
Will you be, if the Falcons come over here, would you be coming over, or would you come over?
I would do everything. I'd do everything in my power to make sure I was there for that game, for sure.
I've got bad memories of Falcons in London, so.
Were you at
2014. I wasn't. I was watching it on the TV, but it wasn't great, was it? About the fourth quarter blowout.
It was awful.
Sounds awfully familiar as well.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you something else as well, and it's just completely escaped me. Do you still keep in contact with any of your former teammates?
Yeah, that's the one thing I think you miss a lot once you stop playing, because you're in that locker room with those guys every day. You spend more time with them during the season than you do with your family, pretty much. And so Harry Douglas, the receiver core we had was pretty tight. Harry Douglas and Roddy White and Michael Jenkins. I talked to all those guys. I talked to Matt Ryan periodically. He comes on our radio show every Tuesday morning. During the season anyway. A shameless plug, if you guys haven't done it already, you need to download the 680 The Fan app. 680thefan.com. Get it out, download that app so you can listen to our show and rock and roll. But you try to stay in touch as best you can. But if you don't make a concerted effort to make phone calls or visit guys or check in on guys, it gets lost in the mix pretty quick. And it's kind of a sad state of affairs. It really is. It's almost like the military when you're gone with your guys for so long, your troop, and then you come back and nobody's there. You're not having the same conversation.
Yeah.
I haven't. I have a good time and I enjoy my life now, and everything's fine. But the amount of laughter from the locker room for the 11 years, 12 years I was in it, it's unmatched. I'll never be in that environment again when. The jokes and the camaraderie and the friendships that you build in such a close environment, it's hard to replicate outside of that.
Is that one of the reasons why you actually stayed in Atlanta when your career ended? I mean, obviously you got your radio show and what have you anyway, but is that one of the reasons you actually stayed in Atlanta rather than moving back over to California?
It's part of it, Rich, but playing in the same team, same city, the same team for 11 years, you build a bit of a following, and I met so many people locally, Falcon fans, and just guys in the neighborhood, golf tournaments, charity golf tournaments, and the networking that I was able to do for those 12 years was pretty sweet. So I had connections, I had people I knew and liked, and was able to, like you said, parlay it into the radio gig, and so I played a small role, but Atlanta's a great place to live. Cost of living is fantastic. I got a little bit of property and have an acre and build a nice house and golf club community. So everything kind of set up nicely for me.
Perfect lifestyle after the game.
Yeah.
I must thank you for answering my unsolicited emails. By the way, I must admit I wasn't expecting a response. It was more of a hit and hope. But I really appreciated the response from you. I've sent a few unsolicited emails out. I'm just waiting for a response at the moment from Roddy White. I can't imagine I'll get one. But
I'll text Roddy. I'll text Roddy when we're done here and make sure he answers that email.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, it's a pleasure. I appreciate you reaching out. Sandra Golden who's my teammate on 680 The Fan, was busting my balls about coming up, responding to you guys. I told her I got the email from you guys, and she follows you on Twitter, I think. And
oh, no way.
enjoys the banter back and forth. And she said I'd make sure I get on there and do it. So she was the catalyst for my response. So you can thank her as well.
We have a lot of thanks to give.
Definitely.
Just following your shameless plug then, if you ever did want to come on and bring some of your mates on and just talk about stories, not an interview, just talk about the good times, we would be happy to host that and just facilitate the show.
You got it.
It's one of the things I said to you in my email is we're trying to obviously grow the fan base of the Falcons in the UK. And obviously in the day of social media, it becomes a lot easier than what it did when I was supporting. I literally had a magazine one day a week to find out what was going on. And in these days, it's like I say, it's a lot easier. And people like yourself, Jamal Anderson, and what have you, coming on, he's helping us and helping the Falcons.
Yeah, for sure. We love doing it. So
absolutely,
even if you want to do like right before this training camp starts or something, we'll do like a little 10 or 15 minute update on our Falcons and see if you guys know anything I don't know, and I'll tell you stuff that you may not know. We'll take it from there.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch, and like we said, we'd love to get you on again. And whether it's we'll be pestering you every now and again anyway now, so you're stuck with us.
So don't be afraid to reach out. And I enjoyed being on with you guys. I'm glad we got some UK love for our Falcons, and hopefully for Danny and Cal, we can get you guys a winning season before too long here in a postseason run.
Crossing everything. Right. On that note, we'll wrap the show up. We'll say bye to everyone and just keep you on for an extra minute after we come off live, Brian, just to say thank you off screen. But thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for all of the comments that you've dropped in and the questions you've asked to Brian. It's been a hell of a show. So we'll call it a night and speak to you all soon. So thank you all.
Thank you.